It's the home stretch. Match week 33. Had to make the drive. We're here in person because there's all to play for. It's been a topsy-turvy one lead change. I might be dramatic, but back in the driver's seat. Take us away with the points.
Oh, my days. Yes, last week it was 6-6. We've had a chaotic couple of weeks, both with so many matches happening, not being able to get together to get videos filmed together. But man, oh man, we had me come back to take the lead, and then Brock able to re-solidify his lead. Last week, though, was a wash. 6-6 brings the overall scores to Brock has 200. I'm at 197. It's the home stretch. It's a bit of fun. I'm excited. Brock's excited.
Yep.
You guys should be excited. Let's get into the fixtures.
And the first fixture that we get this week, Newcastle at home playing Tottenham. This is a pretty big one.
This is also our game of the week.
Yeah.
It's a big one. Newcastle are pushing for Europe.
Yeah.
Tottenham have found themselves into the top four. It's been a long kind of time where they've been kind of scraping and clawing at the heels of Villa, but they are now in the driver's seat, in control, and this is a huge, huge game.
Huge game. And so many storylines with this one. Two sides that this is the fun part of the season where normally we look at these fixtures, okay, you're going to see them have a go at it, but this is when it really matters. You're going to see teams that are cagey, all on the line. I think we're going to see a lot of chaotic school ground football.
Yeah, and like you were saying, first half of the season, you get all these teams who are just trying to get points on the board.
Yeah.
Now it's a lot different, right? It's
different.
It's like points on the board don't mean anything. It's like we have to get the win. We have to get the win, and they'll do anything to get the win, right? To get the 3 points. And so that leads us into this game, this fixture. We got Newcastle at home, right? We thought it was a fortress like last season, beginning of this season, it was a fortress. In recent weeks, recent months, it hasn't been much of one, right?
Sure.
Tottenham, on the other hand, I mean, they've been pretty consistent in recent weeks, and that's why they've been able to get back into the top 4 conversation. What are your thoughts on this one? What's your prediction?
The scoreline I'm going to have this finish at 3-2 Newcastle.
Wow.
I think this is just, you look at the score sheet, you look at the teams that we're going to see matched up. I've seen Newcastle in a lot of shootouts this year, and I think this will be another one of them. 3-2 Newcastle.
Well, let's keep it interesting. I'm going to go 2-1 Spurs on the road, getting the 3 points, and Timo Werner with a winner.
Wow, okay. On the road.
Bring us to the next one.
Thanks for the kick, Jordan. It's Brentford. They're playing at home against Sheffield United. Pretty straightforward, but I'm sure you've got some commentary for us.
Oh, I do have some commentary. Brentford have been woeful. It feels like when Ivan Toney came back into the side, it's like you start becoming so reliant on that one player to get you your goals, where Wissa and Mbeumo were their stars at the beginning of the year, and we haven't heard a lot from them. But now that they're kind of, Mbeumo's back to being healthy, Wissa's back to being healthy. He kind of had some hiccups since AFCON, right?
Yeah.
But those are the players that make the difference for this team, right? And it kind of reminds me, I'm going to throw it to a little March Madness for you. It kind of feels like Purdue here, where you have Zach Edey. He's a star. He's a 7'4" center. I mean, wooden All-American, right? And he puts up 37, but they lose by 15 in the national championship. That's how Brentford are, right? They're so reliant on Toney that all the other players that have quality aren't showing it at the moment.
Sure.
And in this one,
wow, you are talking yourself into something crazy.
In this one, I'm going to go for Brentford, though.
Yeah.
I think they'll get the job done. Like I said, they're starting to get health back into the side.
Sure.
2-1 Brentford.
2-1 Brentford. I'm going to go with a clean sheet from Brentford on this one. I'm going to go just 1-0. I think it'll be one that they work pretty hard for.
Sheffield don't have enough, though, right? I mean, Sheffield are down. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, Sheffield are down.
But they have all to play for. I mean, they have nothing to lose at this point. They're already down. This could be the surprise result.
No, they'll get shut out. It's Sheffield United.
Sheffield are bottom of the table. They'll
Tony,
end bottom of the
yeah,
table.
Tony penalty will seal the deal. Probably 63rd minute. It'll be done and dusted like that.
There
I'll
you
take
go.
my 2 points. Next one.
We got Burnley against Brighton. Burnley at home. They feel a little bit closer to getting out of the relegation zone than Sheffield, but is it too late for them?
I think that Burnley is not a side that's capable of inflicting damage. I think even in games where they absolutely go for it, they're not a side that you back to be able to put balls in the back of the net. And I like a side like Luton that I think sitting there on the cusp, they're a side that we've seen be capable of damage.
Yeah.
I think these late run-ins to the end of the season favor teams that are like that, that are able to put the ball in the back of the net, and it could mean that they lose the game 4-3, but it could also mean that they run away in a game that they shouldn't 3-0.
Yeah.
Burnley's not that side.
Not that side.
Burnley's not that side. And then on the flip side of the coin, right, you get Brighton, who are – I was incredibly impressed. I get to watch them play Arsenal. They lose in big fashion, but you just watch the unit, the way that they play the game, it's impressive. The third man run, the ball comes in to go back out. A side like Burnley, they will pick apart. And I think Brighton knows that they need to start winning games. The Europe dreams are maybe weaning, but I'm going to have Brighton go ahead and win this one 3-1. I've taken the driver's seat on this, but that's just where I was led.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned a lot of really, really good things about Brighton there. In the sense that they're playing soccer so well, but they're not getting results. And because they're not getting results, they're finding themselves fall out of European places. Mm-hmm. And right now, the mid-table, I don't know how many of our watchers have looked at the table recently, but the middle of the table is like insane. Mm-hmm. Any team from 13th to 7th can finish anywhere in those places. Like that's how close. They're all within, 8 points. Like it could flip in a second. And so, like you said, they need to start putting points on the board. They'll get the job done here against Burnley. I'll go ahead and go 2-0.
2-0.
That brings us to Manchester City against Luton Town. You put your neck out there last week for Luton to get the job done against an informed Bournemouth, and they got the job done for you. A late winner that gives them that extra amount of hope and that extra belief, right? They believe they can get out of the relegation zone after a win like that. Yeah. But man, are they going against the juggernaut this week?
Juggernaut, I like backing sides that are capable of inflicting damage. I said it in my previous pick, and I'll say it again here with Luton. They are a side that is capable of inflicting damage. But this Manchester City team, the way that they're playing the game right now, the confidence that they have when they step on the pitch, they're lighting up world football. Not even the Premier League, they're lighting up world football. And they are the team that you can always count on. This stretch of games, you don't back them to drop points.
Yeah,
I don't see them being the first team to flinch, and they've really started clicking.
And like you said, when you are getting a banger from your center back turned left back with his weak foot in the Champions League this week, oh my goodness, that goal was brilliant.
In form,
right? And then Foden. I mean, we cannot stop talking about Foden. That midweek game against Madrid was just brilliant. Is there going to be any bit of hangover?
Not with the Pep Guardiola side. I don't think there's any kind of hangover. They understand crystal clear what has to be done. They're a team that's done it, right? And so they understand what that looks like. And it looks like picking your feet up off the ground after a draw, a crazy game, and they'll go and they'll just steamroll again.
I'll go ahead and throw out my prediction. 4-1 City.
4-2. I think Luton Town will score 2 goals, but they'll already be out of the game by 4-2.
Fair enough.
We now get Nottingham Forest playing host to Wolves.
Not a lot to say here, right?
Yeah.
Forest are that team that are right above the relegation zone. Yeah. Luton's gunning for them. They need to pick up results.
Yeah.
Wolves have a shot to make Europe, which is crazy. Right. It's crazy.
I would say Wolves are the one fighting relegation. I don't know.
And that's what the predictions were preseason. But man, oh man, Gary O'Neill has Wolves playing brilliant football. It's hard to see them getting into Europe just because they don't have Neto. He's out for the rest of the season. But Sarabia has been a very good player. And their player of recent weeks has been Ant Nori. He has been from left back. He has been getting a lot
the
of
number
goal.
3.
A lot of goal contributions, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know what that's like being that complete wingback out there. But that being said, I don't really know how to pick this game.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting one. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and sit on the fence. 1-1.
Wow. Yeah, you're right where I'm headed. I was going to jump in and get it in there first. I'm going to go 1-1.
Dang.
Yeah, you're not picking anything up there.
Go ahead and bring us to the next one then.
We get Bournemouth. They're playing host to Manchester United.
XL United fans.
XL. Right.
Days.
That was a deep breath there for the United fans. It's funny. I was looking back at the beginning of the season, the way that we were talking about United versus Liverpool. Everybody's saying, are they going to get beat 7 or is it going to be 8-0 this time? and they've gone and they've taken 2 points off of what was going to be the title favorites in ridiculous fashion.
Yeah. That was such a good game. That goal, the audaciousness from Bruno, and then the youngster, right? Yeah. Kobe Manu. Oh my days. That's everything about that goal is brilliant.
Yeah.
Because it's from nothing. It's great technique. It's intelligent. He has an awareness to be able to just turn, top bins. It was just brilliant from him.
A star is born, and United seemed up for it once it was gifted to him, right? We saw kind of a cagey United. Liverpool easily could have run away with that game 5-0 in the first half.
In the first half, yeah.
And they were wasteful, right? And I think the question will be and continue to be as we go into this run-in is, there's no doubt they've got Virgil van Dijk, but we've seen Mo Salah not be as potent as he once was.
Yeah.
Do they have the goals that they will need to get them across the finish line in a player like Darwin Nunez?
Yeah.
I think that's really what it comes down to. I'm going
to bring you back in because we'll get to Liverpool. We're on United here. Yeah. We're on United. They're playing Bournemouth. What's the score prediction?
Yeah, it's going to be 2-1 Manchester United.
2-1 Manchester United. I'm going to go ahead and back you there. 2-1 United.
2-1 United.
That brings us into Liverpool at home against Crystal Palace. I'm going to go ahead and...
Turn me loose.
I'm going to pass it back to you.
The question will be, in the title run-in, can Darwin Nunez do it? And it's a genuine question.
Yeah.
It's a question that I wanted to pose. Do you think he is a player that is... He's been clutch for them this season.
He 100% has.
But when the going gets tough, when the margins are super tight, is it Darwin Nunez that you back that's taking you to the promised land?
And you know me. You know where I stand on this, where I have stand in the past.
Yeah.
I would say Darwin's going to come up with big goals in this run-in, but I don't think it will be enough for them. I think there's just too much youth, too much inconsistency right now. I think I felt this. You felt like this was the transition year for Liverpool.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so the fact they're even in the conversation for the title in that transition year is extremely impressive.
Yeah.
One for Klopp, and then one for these players that are coming in and being like huge pieces, like Szoboszlai and McAllister, and even Endo, if you will. Like, he's been brilliant, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And so I don't want to sit here and trash on Nunez not being that guy, because I think he's a great player, and I think he'll have a lot of big goals come down this run-in.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's to blame if they aren't able to get over the line.
Yeah, I'd say that's where I'd probably end with it as well. He's a player that is absolutely capable of chaos and scoring big goals.
Yeah,
and I think the question will be, can they collectively get it done?
Yeah.
Who knows? I think we'll see that start here with a test like Crystal Palace. But they're at Anfield. That's the reality of the situation. Doesn't seem like a place that they're going to drop points yet. 2-1 Liverpool.
3-1 Liverpool.
We're heading to London for a London scrap. West Ham facing Fulham. How are you as a Fulham fan feeling for this one?
Not extremely confident. the weird part about Fulham this season is it felt like last season, first year back in the Prem, every single game it was expected. Like I knew what Fulham I was going to get. Like if we're playing City, I know which Fulham we're going to get.
Yeah.
When we're playing Forest, I know which Fulham we're going to get. This year, I go into every game really not knowing at all.
Yeah.
I could get the Fulham that gets battered 3-1 against Forest, or I can get the Fulham that batters Forest 5-0.
Yeah.
I can get the Fulham that beats Arsenal and Tottenham, or I can get the you know what I see?
Yeah.
Or I can get the Fulham that dominates Newcastle and loses 1-0.
Yeah.
It's like you just really have no idea what you're going to get.
Yeah.
West Ham, on the other hand, are kind of a similar team in the sense of like you really don't know. Like there's some weeks where their offense is just so potent,
electric,
and so electric's the word, right?
Yeah.
With players like Paqueta, Bowen, and Kudus just going crazy, right? And then there's some weeks where you're like, this team's competing for Europe?
Dead. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's really interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it brings it into a very interesting game. I'm going to go ahead and toss it to you for your prediction.
Yeah.
I'll throw mine out there.
Well, I'll add my 2 cents. On their day, West Ham is absolutely capable of inflicting damage.
100%.
And on their day, Fulham are absolutely capable of inflicting damage.
100%.
You know where I'm heading with this prediction, and I'm going to go 4-3 West Ham.
Oh my goodness. I was not expecting that at all. But I'm going to go ahead, and at first I was leaning draw, but I just have to back my boys. And they are, but they're on the road, aren't they?
They're on the road.
I'm going to go ahead and just go with what I think is going to happen. I'm going to go with the 1-1.
There's bubbles in the stadium. An absolute shootout thriller. You guys are due for it.
I hope it's something crazy like that, but I hope we're on the right side of it. Yeah. I'm 1-1. Bring us to the next one.
And that takes us to Emirates Stadium. We're driving. We're driving right now.
You're in the driver's seat, aren't you?
We're driving.
You're top of the table.
Top of the table.
On goal differential. So all those huge wins early in January are giving you some...
You're the stat guy, and I'm going to steal your thunder here.
Yes,
because I've come across this fact. I've been presented with it, and I have to share the world. Most goals scored this season.
Wow.
Who would you say would it be? It's the Arsenal. Fewest goals conceded. The Arsenal. That tells me the trajectory is looking good. And all to play for in Europe. There's just so much that's going on here. We have the hardest run-in of all these teams. That's thinking big picture, but the test in front of us. It's a game at a time.
Yeah.
That's how you have to approach this. It's what City does. It's a game at a time. They flush the next one, and they're present. And it's us versus Villa. Controversial game last time.
Yeah.
Controversial game with Villa, and at the Emirates Stadium when it matters most. I think this might be I've been cognizant enough to be able to say this, but I think this is an Arsenal side that can do it. They're a side that is capable of doing it, and I think that starts against Aston Villa. I'm going to put the burden on you to put the scoreline on it, but I know my piece.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and throw out my scoreline being 2-1. To Arsenal. And I've been saying we haven't been able to be in the same room in a while, so I'm going to go ahead and say I've been a broken record in recent weeks talking about Arsenal. Their mentality is completely different than it was last year. Yeah. And you can see it by the way they are performing. And it just makes you believe a little bit. Yes, they have a hard run-in of games. Yes, City feel like a juggernaut. Yes, there's chaos going over at Anfield. But, man, there's just something about this Arsenal side, isn't there? Mentality-wise, I'm not saying they'll do it, but I'm just saying when you look at a game against Villa, you usually think, oh, this Arsenal's the young team that could choke right here. Mm. This year you're thinking Arsenal's a team that's going to continue to put pressure on, and hopefully that gets them, and if this was you, hopefully that gets them through, across that finish line.
Yeah.
So 2-1 Arsenal. What's your prediction?
I'll just go 1 goal on top of it. Why not? 3-1 Arsenal.
There you go. Monday fixture this week, we have Chelsea against Everton. A very, just weird game. It feels like, right?
It's kind of gross. I look at it and I just kind of feel icky in my stomach.
Do I watch this game on a Monday?
Yeah.
I'll find myself watching it, but Chelsea, every week you think they're back, and then all of a sudden they concede in the 93rd minute and only get a point. It's like you're like, what is going on with this team? Where Everton, they were able to get that first win in like months last week to create a gap, and then that gap gets chopped down by another 2-point deduction. So they were at 10, then they went down to 6, and now they're back to 8-point deduction, I think. And then
they'll finish at 7. It's like, give them something, right?
Yeah, and so it's like, what a weird situation as anyone in the relegation zone to be like, Forest could be 4 points higher than they are now in a week's time, or they could be 2 points lower. Like, you don't know. And I know like Rob Edwards has said this, the Luton manager. He says, when I'm looking at the table, I'm taking out the point deductions and just looking at the table as is, and we just need to keep getting points on the board and not worry about all these deductions and stuff, which is a good mentality. But he's hoping those point deductions stay, right?
Yeah, right.
Because that will give them a chance. But man, oh man, Everton need a result.
And this Chelsea side is what I would call decent enough to be dangerous. They're decent enough to be dangerous where on any given day, they're capable of a deflection goal, a penalty that changes the fixture, and it's a completely different discussion. And that makes our job really hard.
Yeah.
Because we have no real substance to place our...
And Cole Palmer, oh my goodness, that's how it feels, doesn't it? It's like they buy this youngster, this reject from City, and he is just single-handedly kept them from not being in the conversation that Everton's in, right? Yeah. I mean, to be fair, like, I don't know how blasphemy that statement is, but if they don't have Cole Palmer, they might be in that conversation.
It's hilarious watching Cole Palmer. He's the kind of player that City would go sign. Like, in a different world where Cole Palmer was a City or a Chelsea boy, they would go sign him.
Yeah,
like he's their textbook player, and it shows in the way he plays. He's incredibly talented. I don't want to be the first one to pick.
I'm going to just go ahead and go 3-2 Chelsea.
3-2 Chelsea.
Yep.
I'll sit the fence on this one. And I'm going to just go 1-1. It just looks kind of like a 1-1 fixture on Monday.
Could be a 0-0, kind of a weird one.
Yeah, weird one. Let's get a point from a 0-0.
Well, there you go. That's going to wrap us up for the week. We're going to throw up the graphic right now. Yep. I mean, it's been a crazy couple of weeks. Yeah. You guys are just blessed by the presence of us being in the same room. And we need, because of that, because we've been able to make the accommodations, the sacrifices, make that happen, that means we need you in the comments. Yeah. We need you in the comments. We want to be interacting with you. We want to hear. There's just so much going on in the Prem right now. So much going on even in the Champions League. Yeah. Like, we want to talk soccer with you, so be in the comments. But yeah, anything else you want to add?
That frames it perfect.
Well, there you go. Thank you for watching.
Cheers.